This is Skywatch Media News, the first week of December 2017. As we approach the new year, we are reminded how fortunate this generation of people has been, having lived during a time of relative calm and peace on the earth. But as this generation passes away, the inhabitants of the new millennia will inherit what the ancients had warned will come to pass, a time of great trouble and turmoil. There is something very strange that is happening within the earth that has the scientific community very worried. There is concern that the coming year may herald in a time of great seismic and volcanic unrest, unlike anything this generation has witnessed. Much of what we know today paints a bleak picture for humanity. The Earth's atmosphere, its oceans, its land masses, and all manner of wildlife now lie in the balance. There is a time when the Earth must take back all that it has given, a time of renewal. And so it has begun. The theory that something is pulling and tugging at the Earth's magnetic field is not an idea that is far-fetched. It is ingrained in scientific analysis and study. If you were to believe that the sun, in all its powerful grandeur, is capable of influencing the behavior of the Earth and the sustainability of life, then we must also consider the probability that other forces outside the realm of our knowledge and understanding may actually be determining the behavior of the Earth. As remote as it may seem to some, the unrest that is developing today, especially in the vulnerable regions of the Pacific Ring of Fire, may be attributed to the proximity of Planet X to the Earth. NASA still claims that this theory is unfounded, regardless of their continued discovery of new planets and a solar system in our backyard. What is so disheartening about the increase in seismic and volcanic activity is that scientists are hard-pressed to find an explanation for the current wave of activity. They just cannot admit to the probability of something outside of the norm as being responsible for these events. There are a number of reports that recently surfaced that provide some insight into the trouble we are facing in the next few years. Here are some of the more troubling observations that provide a clear picture of what I am referring to. Off the coast of the Antarctic Peninsula is a landmass called Deception Island. On this island lurks a flooded caldera of an active volcano, which is home to more than 50 volcanic craters. New research indicates that if a significant ash eruption occurred here, it would disrupt air traffic across much of the southern hemisphere. That includes South America, Africa, and Australia. Now, as remote as this volcano may seem, it could have an effect across much of the world. In fact, Deception Island has a unique history of eruptions, with 30 explosions occurring in the past 10,000 years, and the most recent having occurred in 1970. So it is common knowledge that an enormous ash cloud would have the potential to disrupt or even shut down air traffic across the globe for an extended period of time, which could have an enormous impact on the global economy. Scientists are voicing their concerns about the increasing likelihood of a supervolcanic eruption. Not far from Naples, Italy, lies a volcano named Campi Flegrei. For the past 60 years, it has been showing signs of a major magmatic eruption. And this sign, like seismic activity, land deformation, and gas chemistry, has been accelerating since 2012. This video simulation shows what an incoming eruption could resemble. If it were to erupt, there are some 1 million people living in proximity to the volcano that would be forced to evacuate. In the worst-case scenario, Naples, which is one of the most important areas for European culture in the last 1,000 years, could suffer the same fate of Pompeii. The prognosis of such an eruption is not pretty, as a cataclysmic blast from this volcano would be devastating. If we go back in history some 200,000 years ago, this supervolcano blackened the skies of the entire planet, causing a worldwide volcanic winter and nearly wiping out all life on Earth. A large rogue entity lurking somewhere in our solar system would have an electromagnetic effect on the Sun and therefore on planet Earth. Its presence would heat the core and cause the displacement of magma. In August of this year, the eclipse that traversed the United States became the harbinger for the arrival of Planet X. These and other theories of a wandering body were given a boost in October when NASA announced the discovery of a new planet in our solar system. After many years of denying and debunking, scientists confirmed the existence of a ninth planet that conforms to popular theories of a planet named Nibiru. On October 4th, NASA published a press release stating that it had discovered unmistakable evidence of a ninth planet in the far extremes of space, orbiting the solar system. The planet is surmised to be 10 times the mass of Earth, but it has yet to be seen since its elliptical orbit is estimated to be about 60 billion miles from the Sun. The description of the new planet conforms so closely to the predictions of Nibiru that NASA was forced to release a cosmic disclaimer, claiming that the object will never collide with the Earth or bring days of darkness. Even the head researcher, astronomer Mike Brown, was compelled to tweet a dismissal of the Nibiru theory. Supporters of the Planet X theory are nonetheless skeptical of NASA's disclaimer, and for very good reasons. They have been denying the existence of Planet X for years, and suddenly they announce they found it. They say that Nibiru doesn't exist, while at the same time they announce a new planet. They are no longer arguing about the existence of Planet X, only about its name and what to call it. The reason behind this alleged deception is clear. NASA is trying to avoid generating panic. They haven't sighted the new planet yet, so it is impossible for them to know if its orbit will intersect with the Earth's orbit. There is a bit of speculation regarding the origin of the newly discovered Planet 9. It may be a refugee from the solar system, or it may be a rogue from the outer realms that was captured by the Sun's gravity. But one thing is clear. You do not need a scientific mind to understand what is going on here, and something very serious is definitely happening. The elements of nature, as well as the actions of humanity, are transforming the Earth as we know it. With these changes comes the discovery of new planets in our solar system that are intended to usher in a new age. We are seeing the effects of these wandering bodies all across the world. Whether you accept the theory that a mysterious electromagnetic influence is to blame, the world is witnessing an epidemic of seismic activity. In the last 30 days, California has had more than 700 tremors. Yellowstone has had one of its most active seismic cycles in recorded history, with nearly 2,500 events since June of 2017. Mexico was hit by 2 devastating earthquakes in the same month, in September of this year. Not long ago, the border between Iraq and Iran suffered a 7.4 magnitude quake, the most powerful earthquake to hit the region in recorded history. All of these events point to something happening that even scientists are hard-pressed to explain. A few years ago, in 2011, Japan was hit by one of the most powerful earthquakes and devastating tsunamis to hit the region in many generations. Scientists are now warning that a massive earthquake and tsunami will hit the highly populated areas of Japan, including Tokyo, in our near future, an event that could strike without sufficient preparations being met. Because of this terrifying prospect, the Prime Minister has advised all citizens to be calmly but appropriately afraid. But how can a person be calm and fearful at the same time? These are separate emotions, and much like the calm before the storm, once the storm hits, then fear of what to expect and what to do begins to set in. What they should be appropriately fearful of is that Japan sits upon some of the biggest fault lines on the planet. And if an 8 or a 9 magnitude megaquake were to occur, it would wipe out the industrial heartland of this country, which in turn would severely affect the technological capabilities of much of the world that depends on the manufactured devices of Japan, which is a leading global manufacturer of industrial technology. A strange event took place on the Candagut River in the Philippines on November 27th. Much like the increase in fissures and cracks that are draining rivers and ponds in many locations worldwide, Earth scientists and geologists are unable to explain what caused this recent event. The ground of the river suddenly surged upwards more than 2 feet, killing hundreds of fish and terrifying local residents. Something very unusual is happening here that even officials do not understand. The unexplained elevation of the riverbed was preceded by an immense groaning noise, as reported by fishermen who witnessed the event. Smoke was then seen coming out of the cracks, as pictured here. On December 2nd, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology noted the probability of an earthquake, although no earthquakes were actually recorded in that area. Another hypothesis for the sudden rise was the buildup of methane gas due to decomposition. However, the investigators indicated that the incident was not related to the nearby Mount Canleon, which is presently in a Category 2 alert status. Whatever is causing this has the residents terrified and the officials baffled, and no one seems to have a concrete explanation. If Planet X is having an effect on the Earth's seismic and volcanic activity, then it must be on the move and close enough to the Earth to create a gravitational pull. But when will Planet X actually arrive? In theory, it is impossible to set an exact date for its arrival. Some have foolishly tried, but to no avail. Its arrival is not on our timetable. Planet X is a system that is accompanied by 7 orbital bodies. Every one of these 7 bodies has a unique orbit, and Nibiru itself has a unique path. No one can predict all of their paths and how they will affect this world. When people mix truth with lies, predicting a date that is unfounded, it leads people to believe that everything associated with this passage is fabricated. If we were to envision an apocalyptic eruption of Mount Agung, which is presently on high alert, it would probably come as no surprise to the Hindus of Bali, who revere the mountain and consider it to be sacred. It is on the slopes of this sacred place that the end of days will play out, when the skies will darken with dust and ash. Experts who study the Earth's geological features are predicting that we are entering into a period of upheaval, a time of increased seismic and volcanic unrest. The effects of an incoming celestial presence has begun. We see it happening in Bali and all over the world. The Earth is heating up, and there are many more earthquakes in recent times than ever before. In addition to the changes happening on Earth, in our atmosphere the radiation is increasing, which is having a profound effect on the planet. Cosmic rays from deep space are increasing almost unabated as the sun's magnetic field weakens. If you follow the media narrative on what is happening in the stratosphere, the reason that the radiation is increasing is entirely due to the sun entering into a solar minimum, a period in the sun's 11-year cycle where cosmic ray intensity is much higher. The narrative would have you believe that increased seismic and volcanic activity can be attributed to the increase in cosmic rays as a result of decreased solar activity. The problem with this narrative is that it does not explain why earthquake activity has been on a significant upward trend since 1965, or why the Ring of Fire unrest was beginning to peak long before the solar minimum kicked into gear. Furthermore, it does not take into account that the Earth is reeling like a drunken sailor, causing the oceans to quickly retreat and then return with a fury weeks later. All the while, the Earth's jet stream is moving erratically, causing the world's climate to shift into a state of chaos. These are events that are not directly related to the behavior of our sun, but are attributed to a yearly increase of cosmic rays that are coming from space, which in turn has caused an increase in radiation levels, as shown for 2017. In November, a report by the International Business Times indicated that mysterious cosmic rays are slamming the Earth, and that scientists do not know their origin. The cosmic rays, known as positrons, are powerful particles that can result in the production of energy, including gamma rays. According to a study published in the journal Science, these particles are exotic in nature, which hints that they may actually be coming from a dark star. So if we are to consider the narrative that the Earth is being blasted by cosmic rays from our inactive sun, then we must also consider the report which indicates that cosmic rays from somewhere beyond our sun are suddenly hitting the Earth in great numbers. We are standing at the doorstep of a great transformation as we prepare for the earth changes that are ahead of us. I cannot stress nearly enough how virtually important it is for each man, woman, and child to prepare themselves both physically and spiritually for the time of tribulation which has already begun. It is a time to come out of the dark where confusion and uncertainty loom over us, and enter into the light with a watchful eye and a prayerful heart. Disinformation is as old as history itself. Regardless of what may be happening on Earth, there will be no advanced warning, and it will come in bits and pieces, until which time there will no longer be any doubt. The discovery of new cosmic worlds near our solar system gives credence to the prophecy which says that a new star will appear, which will cause the waters to come up from the ground, and the mountains to spew up fire and ash. Some people call this a fable, the words of an active imagination. But are they really just words? Take a look at what is happening to our world and to the entire solar system, where great changes are taking place. And so I ask you to keep looking to the sky, for it is here that all shall be revealed.